Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening everyone and thanks for joining us. First tonight, those inside the walls of Tasmania's Parliament House have labelled its culture as toxic and unsafe in a new report commissioned by the government. Members of Parliament and managers are the biggest perpetrators of harassment, bullying and discrimination, according to the Anti-Discrimination Commissioner. But political enemies stood side by side as the report was released, promising change.
The house that should have the highest standards in the land, instead deemed toxic and unsafe by those on the inside.
There is no ignoring the fact that some of the content raised in the submissions was disturbing.
The Motion for Respect report into the workplace culture of parliamentary and ministerial services released today. 15% of respondents were sexually harassed, including every single LGBTIQ respondent. 40% of respondents were bullied. They would scream at me, smash files on my desk, ridicule me. 24% discriminated against. There was classist, sexist, racist and foul language. It felt like going back in time. 2/3 of respondents witnessing those incidents.
And yet only 11% of those 2/3 who witnessed such behaviours intervened.
Members of Parliament and managers consistently identified as the worst offenders.
I've made it very clear to my team that I expect everyone to lead by example, to build a workplace where people are respected, a safe working environment.
With no clear human resources unit, 80% of respondents expressed dissatisfaction with the complaints handling process. You're warned you mustn't act on anything in case it has political consequences. Also clear, it's a problem on all sides of the chamber. 3 leaders and an independent standing together today.
Obviously there are some failings that require our urgent attention, and that's what we commit to do now.
As leaders and managers, we all share responsibility for what's been revealed by this report.
The Anti-Discrimination Commissioner expressing a deep desire within the service for change.
I'm now left feeling incredibly optimistic that there is a genuine and united appetite for positive change and improvement.
The absolute imperative to ensure that this is seen through, that this report isn't an end point, it's a beginning point now for positive change.
The report makes 14 recommendations, including establishing a human resources unit and complaints reporting frameworks, a code of conduct for MPs and providing them training. A joint committee will be established to implement reform.
There will be significant change, positive change and continuous improvement.
The least Tasmanians deserve from those elected to service. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has thrown his support behind the state getting an AFL team. He spoke at the National Press Club this morning.
I hope Tassie does get an AFL team. Tasmania has produced some great champions in AFL over a long period of time, but that's a decision for the AFL to make.
AFL club presidents were originally expected to make a decision by the end of August, but they have not been given the final proposal yet. A Hobart City Council vote to support and advocate for a ban on conversion therapy will have to wait, with the matter deferred late this afternoon. Alderman Jax Fox put forward the motion but was an apology for the meeting. If passed, the push would also see elected leaders lobby the state government to accept recommendations from a Tasmanian Law Reform Institute report which has condemned the practice. Tasmania's business and education heavyweights have gathered to map out how to address the skills crisis facing the state ahead of this week's National Skills Summit. One industry offering a solution to their woes, calling for visa changes to allow foreign workers to fill growing gaps.
A meeting of minds looking at ways to recharge the local economy. Leaders from all walks of life having their say on Tasmania's jobs market.
This is a collaborative approach We want to bring people together, build bridges, find common ground.
Hobart today hosting a round table, with another happening in Launceston tomorrow. The idea is feeding into Anthony Albanese's upcoming National Skills Summit. This government isn't the first one to host a glitzy summit early in their first term, and despite some cynicism, the Assistant Treasurer believes it will make an impact.
So it's important that we see genuine, tangible outcomes. We're getting together with a sense of purpose.
One sector feeling the pinch is tourism. New industry figures showing while visitors are flocking in droves, the workers aren't.
Already about 40% of the industry are cutting back on their hours and cutting back on their service levels to accommodate the fact they just don't have the people to service at the levels they want.
Proposing visa changes to make it easier for people from hotspots like the Pacific Islands to come in.
They know what customer service is about, they know what the skills are. But yeah, no, we've got to work through those challenges. The reality is we have to do something.
The federal government says while reducing red tape is needed, it's important to open doors for locals.
My main focus is making sure we have the training, education pathways to make sure young Australians can fill the jobs that we need for tomorrow.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmanian News.
A crackdown on illicit drugs circulating the state is underway as Crime Stoppers Week urges Tasmanians to report the dangerous behaviour. Comes as a new wastewater report reveals the use of ice and cannabis is on the rise.
Combating criminal activity, one simple phone call could lead to a major bust.
If you have even that slight percentage of a inkling that you should be reporting it, then you must report it.
Crime Stoppers want intel from the community, shining a light on the repercussions of dangerous drugs for its annual campaign.
It doesn't matter how small or how big the information, it's just like a jigsaw. The smallest part of the information can fit together to help us solve that crime.
Working hand in hand with those on the front line, police are targeting entry points for the illegal activity.
Air terminals, sea terminals, also mail that comes into the state.
New data from Australia's Criminal Intelligence Commission shows the use of illicit substances like cocaine and heroin has spiked in the state, leading to potentially devastating impacts for Tasmanian families.
Drugs have a very destructive effect on those people who are addicted to them. It destroys families, it destroys lives.
Drugs undermine where we are as a community and what we've worked hard to get to when it comes to Tasmania.
With the work extending beyond this week, the organisation ensures all tip-offs can remain anonymous. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmanian News.
An urgent review of road safety is underway following yet another fatal crash on the weekend, which claimed 3 lives. A former top cop says drivers aren't taking enough responsibility as the road toll heads towards frightening figures.
The stomach-churning reality of road crashes entered the public's conscience again on the weekend. Andrew Everett, Matty Baird and Brady Poole, all victims in a crash at Sanford in the state's south. Now those behind road safety messaging are asking what needs to change.
We'll come up with new ways of trying to get the message out there, but unless people take more individual responsibility for everyone's safety while they're using our roads, then we won't get anywhere near the goals that we've set.
Those goals include reducing the number of serious crashes in the state to below 200 by 2026.
Now that sounds like a lot, but at the moment we're closer to 300.
The weekend's crash brings this year's road toll to 39. Scarily, that's well above the number of fatalities at the same time in recent years, which has hovered around the high teens and low 20s. In fact, 2022 is on track to be our 3rd worst year since the turn of the century, behind 2009 and 2001.
I wouldn't say the message isn't working, it's just that the people aren't taking enough responsibility.
But change is coming, starting from next month when mobile speed cameras return after they were put into fixed locations in 2019. Law enforcement is also following the lead of other states, introducing high-tech systems which can catch drivers on their phone or not wearing a seatbelt. Whatever it takes to change drivers' decision-making.
To find ways that we can break through the communication barrier, in what way are we not getting the messages through?
So we never see a year like this one again. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmanian News.
The death of a 60-year-old man at East Devonport yesterday has now been deemed not suspicious by Tasmania Police. The The man was found dead on the side of the road, sparking investigations into possible foul play. And another man who had allegedly carried out a burglary at a nearby business was an associate of the victim. That man, a 37-year-old Launceston resident, was arrested at the scene and has since been charged with a number of offences, including burglary and stealing, motor vehicle stealing, trespass and destroy property. He will appear in the Launceston Magistrates Court at a later date. The police have not detailed how the man died. Households in the state's north are winning the war on waste, according to new data from Launceston Council. 12,000 tonnes of rubbish was diverted from landfill in the past year, thanks to curbside recycling and FOGO collections. That's the equivalent of 42 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
We are the biggest, obviously, around in Tasmania, but other councils around about are taking it up as well more recently, and that is helping as well, because that all ends up in our landfill.
But residents are being urged to be mindful about what goes in their green bins.
One of the things that really worry us is glass. So glass gets in there, and what happens in the compacting trucks, that gets broken into small fractions, and that's really hard to get rid of.
Launceston Council is one of 8 around the state to offer FOGO collections. The Tasmanian Church is joining with a national charity to become part of the fashion life cycle chain. The initiative aims to support the vulnerable while also preventing tons of clothing items from being thrown away.
They say the clothes maketh the person, with what we wear part of how we are perceived by others.
Sadly, we're very quick to judge people based on what they're wearing.
Each person deserves the clothes that they receive.
The chance to own high-quality items has been out of reach for Tasmania's less fortunate. Hobart City Church is changing that, partnering with Thread Together to open their first local store.
I thought, well, gee, we're ideally located for this, and we really do want to work in our community.
Tasmania's governor among those taking part in the opening. Through a caseworker, an appointment will be made for a private session at the shop. Customers use a gift card to pick from items donated by the brands themselves.
We have beautiful clothing from Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger, as well as boots from R.M. Williams, some beautiful girls' clothing.
The group will also travel north via their mobile wardrobe.
It's an absolute joy to be able to facilitate them being able to choose clothes that they feel really comfortable in and represents who they are.
The venture also helping the environment, with our passion for fashion having a wasteful side.
About 1/3 of all new clothing goes from factory to landfill. So we're existing to keep that clothing in circulation.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmanian News.
Thousands of Tasmanian students are gaining a real-life insight into what it's like to work for the Flying Doctors. The organisation's simulator is set to touch down in more than 20 schools over the next 5 weeks as part of this year's tour.
Not your average landing strip. The Royal Flying Doctor Service arriving into Deloraine.
We went into the real life plane simulator and we got to use all of the equipment and it was so awesome.
We bring an aeroplane out to their school, so it's pretty exciting, and for the moment we roll in the gate. We've got the kids who are helping us set up, and we've got they're very excited about getting on the plane.
The kids lapping up the information, also learning about the free youth mental health worker based in the region.
They don't just fly around and help people that are out in remote areas, they also do dentist stuff. The $20 note, the person on there was the very first person that created it.
Getting first-hand experience with the life-saving organisation.
We did little checkups, then we talked with a friend on headphones, and then we fly the plane.
We might inspire some people to be pilots, doctors, nurses, dentists, any of the medical things that you can do. They might be a future donor to the Flying Doctors.
The simulator will visit 23 different schools across the state over the next 5 weeks, completing nearly 90 sessions just like this one, educating thousands and helping them lead a healthier life.
We've been doing this, I think it's for 10 or 11 years.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmanian News.
Preparations for the Tasmanian Master Games are in full force, with the organisers unveiling the medals and the team uniforms, which give a nod to Tasmania.
We've got 23 sports and we're expecting around about 500 participants to come over and compete in the games. We've got sports from air rifle to pickleball to soccer and to even show jumping.
The event will be held over 6 municipalities ranging from West Tamar to Burnie.
So it's a great range that we're offering for those who are a little bit more experienced with sport that probably want to come off the couch and have something a bit more recreational to do.
Registrations close at the end of September, with the event starting on October 20. The suburbs of Launceston and Ravenswood have been singled out as instant scratch at hotspots, according to new research. The data by The Lot found the northern postcode dished out 2 top prizes last year, totalling $110,000. Statewide, 7 top prizes were scratched away by lucky Tasmanians. The figures were released ahead of Father's Day, which has proven popular for scratchy gift giving.
Good evening. The Hobart Hurricanes have passed up some of world cricket's biggest names in the first Big Bash draft for overseas players. All-rounder Shadab Khan headlines a Pakistani trio heading to Tasmania. Ricky Ponting defending the call to put player availability ahead of a marketer's dream.
T20's household names were ripe for the picking, but Ricky Ponting had other ideas.
We've gone for Shadab Khan.
A former skipper of Pakistan's T20 team with Big Bash experience at the Sydney Sixers.
A high-class international leg spinner, very handy with the bat as well. He's a gun in the field.
But not a marquee megastar like Andre Russell, Kieran Pollard, Dwayne Bravo or Faf du Plessis, who were all passed up. What Khan does offer, though, is availability. He'll be able to play nearly the entire Big Bash, unlike some stars committing to other competitions partway through the season.
Sometimes we thought it was even better to take maybe a slightly little less skilled player that had more availability than the other way around.
Batsman Asif Ali was second choice, bolstering the middle order alongside Matthew Wade and Tim David.
We want to really strengthen our power in the latter overs.
Rounding out the Pakistani trio with paceman Fahim Ashraf.
By gee, they'll be selling some purple shirts in Pakistan.
It's all part of it, mate, isn't it? It's all part of it.
The tournament's hottest property, Liam Livingstone, went to the Melbourne Renegades with pick 1. The Adelaide Strikers held on to Rashid Khan at pick 2. New Zealand's Trent Bolt heads to the Melbourne Stars at pick 3.
North Hobart is celebrating today after defeating Clarence to win the SFLW Division 1 Grand Final. The first half was a closely contested affair between both sides, but it was the Demons in front by 11 points at the main break. But North was able to break the game open in the second half, kicking 4 goals to 1 to overrun the Roos. Angelica Clark leading from the front with 2 goals.
Clark sends it towards goal, Misfit at the back. Is that a goal? It is. What a goal from Angelica Clark.
The minor premier claiming the flag with a 55-22 win. Launceston's Nathaniel Atkinson faces a nervous wait after sustaining a suspected groin injury in Heart of Midlothian's win over St Johnstone in the Scottish Premier League overnight. He was one of 3 Hearts players to come off during the match, adding to the club's already lengthy injury list. Hearts managed to bounce back from their midweek Europa League defeat, beating the Saints 3-2. Stuart McSwain's comeback from illness continues, signing up for the longer 5-kilometre distance at the next Diamond League in Brussels. The King Islander made an emphatic return in Switzerland on the weekend, producing his best run of the year to finish 3rd in the 1500 metres. His time was the second quickest of his career, just over half a second off his personal best. McSwain has withdrawn from high-profile events this year, like the Commonwealth Games, as he battles long COVID. 2 Tasmanians have been in action in the Mountain Bike World Championship. Launceston's Sam Fox pushed to 5th in France on the opening lap. He eventually finished 13th in the under-23 race. Tom Cheeseman also made the trek to Europe, finishing down the order in the 80s. Another Tasmanian, Izzy Flint, pulled out of her race with illness. Alex Perrone is back racing in the European Le Mans Series after a mid-season break. The Tasmanian launched several offensives on the track in Barcelona, lifting to 7th during the 4-hour epic. He slipped back to 8th by the time he crossed the line. The result was enough to put Algarve Pro Racing on the podium in the team division. Closer to home, riders braved wet conditions on the east coast in the Tasmanian Motocross Championship. Stoweport's Seaton Broomhall raced to victory in the Pro Open class over coastal riders Bailey Davies and Charles Brett. Ryan Eustace, Cooper Ford, Toby Garwood and Holly Jeeves were among the winners in other classes. The final round heads to Smithton in a fortnight. And the Derwent Sailing Squadron is feeling alive after its yacht Alive surged to victory in the Australian Sailing Championship at Hamilton Island Race Week. Skipper Duncan Hine claimed the Division 0 trophy thanks to a win in the final race of the series. Hine says the next major focus is the Maxi Series in November.
Good evening. Hope you had a great weekend and got through Monday okay. Hobart 21 degrees today, Launceston 20, Burnie 16 and Devonport 17. A little bit of warmth creeping in today. 23 the maximum at Strawn. Flinders Island and Grove 21, Bushy Park 20, King Island, Smithton and St Helens 19, Friendly Beaches 18 degrees. There was some movement of unsettled convective cloud over the west and north later this afternoon. That brought a few showers. High level cloud pushed over us as well from the north. A large frontal band is there over Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland ahead of a low pressure system spiralling over South Australia. Tomorrow that low moves over Bass Strait as a series of fronts pass Tasmania. A trough remains inland over the eastern states. The southeast to northeast winds will tend more northwest to southwesterly tomorrow evening, with winds reaching up to 30 knots. With that in mind, we have a gale warning that's been issued for waters from Sandy Cape to Stanley and a strong wind warning for all remaining coastal waters. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. 16 and showery for Hobart, showers increasing for Adventure Bay, 14 the maximum, 13 the high for Tarraleah. Launceston 15 with showers, Devonport a top of 15 as well, 14 for Bridport. Burnie a high of 15 tomorrow, showers for Strawn 15, 14 the top for Marrawar. And in the east, showers for St Helens 15, 16 the top for Swansea, becoming windy over Flinders Island, Whitemark 15. Wednesday, showers over the west and far south of the state. Showers more widespread on Thursday as snow expected to lower to around 600 metres. And on Friday, more changeable weather with possible showers over the state. The north and east mostly fine though. A sunny 20 in Perth, a cool day with possible showers in Adelaide and Melbourne. Partly cloudy and 24 in Sydney, showers increasing for Brisbane. Cloudy and 17 in Hobart at the moment, 14 right now in Launceston, a few showers over Devonport and 14 degrees. If you enjoyed the warmer weather today, Kim, it's going to change a bit tomorrow. Temperatures 5 or 6 degrees below today's tops. Well, I've got no idea what's going on.
Thanks, Murph. It'll warm up soon. And that is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.